Let me tell you something. Imagine walking through your own front door, all excited to surprise your mom with some good news, maybe a bouquet of lilies in one hand and a big, goofy grin on your face, only to find a woman in a stiff beige suit standing over your mother, who's lying on the floor, gasping for air. Not just any woman, either. The queen of the HOA, Karen Whitmore herself, kicking your mom and barking about enforcing the rules. Yeah, that happened. That was the moment my whole world turned upside down, and Maple Ridge Estates was never the same after that day. I'll tell you right now. I thought I'd be bringing my mom a little light. A surprise visit, you know? Let her see her boy made captain. Let her know all those years she worked double shifts to raise me actually mattered. Instead, I opened the door and saw evil in a pantsuit. No, I'm not exaggerating. Karen Whitmore, the self-appointed dictator of Maple Ridge, standing over my mother like she owned her. And she didn't even know who I was. She had no idea her power trip was about to blow up in her face, right there in that living room, with the old floor creaking beneath my boots and the air thick with lavender and fear. Now, if you've never met a woman like Karen, count yourself lucky. She believed she was Maple Ridge's last line of defense. Defense against what? I'm still not sure. The HOA president, she thought every single house on Alder Lane was just waiting for her permission to exist. In my mom's place, this cozy little blue house at the end of the street, well, that was her favorite target. My mom, Evelyn Rodas, black, widowed, late 60s, never caused a bit of trouble in her life. Just kept her yard neat, her nose clean, always waved hello. But somehow, to Karen, that was the problem. Mom lived alone, which in Karen's eyes meant easy prey. For months, Karen circled her like a buzzard. First, it was a fine for overgrown hedges, never mind that the hedges were trimmed down to the nub. Then it was a warning about unsanctioned wind chimes. Wind chimes, I swear. Next came the letters threatening eviction over imaginary violations. Mom paid what she could, signed whatever Karen shoved at her, thinking maybe, just maybe, it'd be enough to get Karen to leave her be. But people like Karen, they never get enough. It wasn't about rules. It was about control. So, that morning, Karen showed up banging on the door, screaming something about an emergency inspection. My mom, bless her, always polite, always hoping to avoid trouble, opened the door with her hand shaking. "Let me in," Karen snapped right off the bat, "or I'll call the board and start eviction procedures today." Mom just stepped aside, soft as ever. "Please, just make it quick," while Karen stormed in like she was stepping into a pigsty. You know what Karen saw? Family photos on the mantle, the soft smell of lavender certificates on the wall, including one with my face on it, in uniform. She sneered when she saw that. He's the cop, right? Surprised he lets his mother live like this. My mom tried to defend herself, voice trembling. "My house is clean." And Karen just cackled. "You people always think clean means something else." That's what she said. "You should be grateful we even let you stay here." I swear, you could feel the temperature in the room drop. You people. Heard it before, but in my mother's living room, it cut like a knife. Karen started poking through drawers, tossing my mom's mail onto the floor, muttering about illegal modifications. Then she turned on my mom and said, "Do you think the rules don't apply to you?" Mom just whispered, "Please stop," but Karen shoved her shoulder hard enough for her to stumble back, clutching her cane. "Don't tell me what to do," Karen barked. "If it were up to me, this house would have been cleared months ago. You're dragging down property values." And that's when she did it, a cold, calculated kick to my mother's shin, sending her sprawling onto the floor, gasping for air. Karen stood over her, sneering, "You don't belong here." That's the moment I walked in. Let me ask you, what would you do if you saw a woman standing over your mom, claiming she was just doing her HOA duties, but your mom was crying on the floor? Would you stand there, or would you step in? I know what I did. And before I go any further, let me know, where are you watching from right now? Seriously, drop it in the comments. I want to see who out there believes there's no rule book in America that justifies this kind of hate. And if you agree, go ahead and hit that like button, because sometimes rules deserve to be broken. Anyway, as soon as I walked through that door, I froze. My uniform cap still in my hand, The bouquet of lilies crushed in my fist, because all I could see was my mom on the ground and Karen Whitmore, pale as a ghost, turning to face me. "Who are?" she started, but my voice came out sharper than I meant. "Get away from her." Karen straightened her blazer, not backing down. "Excuse me, this is HOA business." "She's in violation." I stepped forward, not even thinking about the risk. "Violation? You broke into my mother's house, assaulted her, and you're talking about violations?" She tried to regain her composure, but I'd already pulled out my phone, recording every word. "Say that again." "Louder." Karen went pale. She realized she was being filmed. "You can't." "I can, and I am." My mom tried to sit up, her voice barely a whisper. "Danny, please don't," but I'd had enough. Years of her being pushed around, years of swallowing her pride, just to keep the peace. I wasn't letting it slide. Karen wagged a finger in my face, desperate to cling to her authority. "If you don't stop, I'll call the board." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Lady, I am the board now." Then I laid it out. "Captain Daniel Rodas, Metro Police." What I just saw, that's assault on a senior and unlawful entry. Karen's mask cracked. You can't be serious." I was just enforcing the rules. I dropped to my knees next to my mom, helping her sit up. "Mom, did she hurt you?" Her eyes filled with tears. "She comes here every week, Daniel." Threatening me, saying I'll lose the house if I don't cooperate. That was it for me. I turned back to Karen, my voice ice cold. "You're done. You hear me?" Now, she started to shake. "You don't understand. I was just doing my job." "Your job ended the minute you laid hands on my mother." I wrapped a blanket around Mom's shoulders, but my eyes stayed locked on Karen. "And you? You better pray those cuffs fit easy." By then, neighbors had started to gather outside, drawn by the shouting. For the first time in months, people weren't looking away. You could hear police sirens cutting through the quiet, rolling right up to the curb. 2 squad cars, lights flashing, the officers all old colleagues of mine. Some folks peeked through their curtains, others stood on their porches, phones out. Karen tried to keep her composure. "This is ridiculous. You're overreacting." "I didn't hurt anyone." I just showed her the phone, replayed the moment her foot hit my mom's leg. Her face drained of all color. "That's taken out of context," she whined. "Context." I fire back. "You broke into her home, insulted her race, called an inspection." "That's not context, that's hate." The officers looked at me, waiting for my cue. "Captain, you want us to handle this?" one whispered. "No," I said. "I'll file the report myself." "But she's leaving here in cuffs." Karen started screaming about her title, about property values, about how she didn't mean it. But the neighbors were done listening. Phones up, cameras rolling, the self-appointed queen of Maple Ridge finally cornered, screaming about her own power as the cuffs snapped shut. That sound, man, it was like thunder. Inside, Mom sat on the couch, shivering under a blanket. "I didn't want you to see this," she whispered. I knelt down, squeezed her hand. "You should have told me, Mom." She just shook her head. "Didn't want to be a burden. You already carry so much." I wiped away her tears. "You carried me my whole life." My turn now. Outside, the crowd thickened. Neighbors who'd been bullied for years, now finally watching as justice was done. Karen shouted one last time, "You'll regret this." The door slammed on her words. Sirens faded into the night, and for the first time in months, Maple Ridge felt like home again. People were hugging my mom, leaving cookies on her porch, promising to stand together from now on. But that wasn't the end, not by a long shot. By morning, the video I'd taken was everywhere. Local news ran it on the hour. HOA president arrested for assaulting elderly black woman. Karen's face, the one that used to inspire fear, now inspired disgust. The board booted her out immediately. Half the members resigned. The rest dissolved the HOA on the spot, wanting nothing to do with her name. Karen Whitmore got hit with assault, harassment, trespassing, hate crime enhancements, the works. She tried to play the victim in court, fake tears and all, but the judge wasn't having it. He played that video back in slow motion for the whole courtroom to see. My mom, sitting in the front row, holding my hand the entire time. Karen's lawyer begged for mercy. The judge looked right at her and said, Your authority was never a license to abuse. 2 years probation. Community service. Mandatory diversity training. Fancy words for public shame. Nobody wanted to do business with her after that. Stores refused to serve her. Old friends turned their backs. The neighborhood, she ruled with an iron fist, finally free of her poison. You know, I still walk past my mom's house every week, and I see the little blue porch, the wind chimes back where they belong, neighbors waving and laughing together again. That's justice. Not revenge, just knowing nobody like Karen will ever rule over my family or anyone else here, ever again. So let me ask you, do you think any HOA or any title or any so-called authority has the right to do what Karen did? Or do you think people need to stand up, even when it's messy, even when it means going against the grain? Drop your thoughts below. Let's get into it. If you've ever tangled with a power-hungry neighbor or have your own story of justice, I want to hear about it. And hey, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Around here, we believe justice means never letting monsters run the show, no matter how nice their suit looks.